second wind. And we've been using the title Second Wind, not wind with the D on it, but second wind, W-I-N, because, as we talked about last week, winning in life comes in layers and levels. What I believe is that many of us become very satisfied with the first win of our life, which is just survival. You made it through your neighborhood. You made it through school. Somebody can say, amen there, I made it through. I don't know if I made it through good, but I made it through, I'm good, Jalen. I made it through school. I made it through that relationship. I survived that job, that season. I survived whatever. And many of us become very content with survival. We become very content with just getting through. And that's a win. I'm not saying that's not anything to celebrate or get excited about or to be grateful for. But I believe there's another level of winning. There's a second win that God desires for us to have. And we talked about last week how identity plays a part in that. That God wants you to win the battle of identity, not just to survive, but to thrive, to be able to live a life where you're being fruitful and coming into your purpose. We talked about this word that really embodies this second wind, and it's called potential. Everybody say potential. And last week we talked about how perspective influences potential, how perspective influences potential, how sometimes you have to talk about things in past tense. Sometimes you have to alter your perspective by what you say, not by what you see. Sometimes you have to declare a thing as it is, as if it was, even when it is not at the current time. Sometimes your perspective has to change before your situation changes. And it's important that we understand the power of perspective and identity in perspective, knowing who I am. We talked about, this is probably one of the most significant things I took from last week when I was preaching this to myself, that the true heart of getting close to God is not just about getting a greater revelation of who he is, but also about getting a greater revelation of who you are. There's some things, the closer I get to God, I find out more about me. Oh, I thought I had a good attitude. Come on. I thought I was patient. And then God put me in a circle or a cycle, and I realized there were some areas of my life, because we all think grand of ourselves. And then we get closer to God, and he starts to expose some areas of our life. God, let me tell you something. God is an expert as exposure. I mean, if anybody can testify to the fact, I was in some season, I was like, God, show me more. And God, I just want to be close to you. And the closer you get to him, you start seeing things about yourself. You be like, wait a minute, I didn't know I struggled with this the way I did. I didn't know I still hadn't really forgiven that. I didn't know that I was still mad about that. God will give you an opportunity to see who you really are. So we talked about last week how perspective is important. But this week, I want to talk about how our past influences our potential. See, potential in itself doesn't really do anything for you. Potential, if I can use this analogy, is the picture on the front of the puzzle box. You know what it can become, but it doesn't do anything to produce. It just is. It's a picture of what's possible, but potential in itself doesn't do anything. It has to be influenced by something. Potential is always waiting on something to pull it or push it, to press it or to poke it, to prod it, to take it in a certain direction. It just doesn't do something for itself. You know what it's capable of. DJ, you know you could be in the NBA, but potential just doesn't do it because you have potential. It's waiting on something to influence it, like work ethic. It's waiting on something like discipline. It's waiting on something like attitude. It's waiting on something like courage. It's waiting on something to influence it. And I believe that there are probably no greater influence on potential than something called the past. Like every person in this room has one. And not just bad past. I don't want you to get me wrong today. There are some great things that your past can do for you. Many of us found our passion in our past. Many of us found purpose in our past. Many of us found out life lessons in our past. I'm not saying that the past is a problem, but what I am trying to suggest today, I want to make it clear from the very beginning, is that if you only rely on your past, then you don't get to see the full picture of what God is trying to produce. That there's something that happens when potential starts to be influenced by your past alone. And it is with this reality that potential for many of us can haunt us or help us, damage us or drive us. It could be the thing that gives us dreams or nightmares, depending on what is influencing your potential. Potential is influenced by the past. I'll give you a great example of this. Thursday, my wife, Autria, had a corporate party. Kitty had a corporate party. So, when you go to corporate parties, you got like, all right, put on a nice little suit. And I went to this corporate party. And Ariel, I was ready, like, I had on my little, you got the H&M jacket with the little shiny part right here. I was like, well, I'm about to kill it today. Boy, y'all don't know nothing. And so I show up to the corporate party, and I'm excited. And I'm looking for Ashley, and we connect. And we saw a whole bunch of other people from TLC there. But I had a problem. I couldn't really enjoy myself there. Because earlier that day, I went to the barbershop, and I got a haircut. And when I got the haircut, I kind of rushed out, and I got in the car, and I started looking in the mirror on the road, and I recognized that one of my points had been pushed back. I wish I had a few men in the room and testify you had a couple moments. And it messed me up because when I caught a glimpse of it, I'm driving and I'm looking. And I'm no longer looking at the road, I'm looking at my point. Not only did he push me back, but I feel like this point is up here, and this point is down here. I need y'all to see this because it messed me up. This is how dedicated to the craft I am. I left my head looking a mess. Just because God said, I want you to preach on it. I said, okay, God, if it weren't for you, I would have been back in there tomorrow. Like, bruh, this ain't the same. Hey, you see that right there? You see it? You see how that come down right there? Raven, it come all the way down here. It come to my eyebrow right here. It is right here. That's an L right there. This is a U. That's an L. And here's what messed me up, Carlton. If anybody, women, maybe you don't go to the barbershop, but you thought your hair was going to look a certain way when you went in, and then you left and it started looking a certain way, it messes up everything that I was about to get into a car crash looking at my head while I was driving. My waves look good, though. My waves look good. Put on a do-rag with the cake off. Come on, want to do it? I was messed up. I couldn't even enjoy some of the conversations because in my head, everybody was looking at my haircut. Everywhere I went, I'm like, man, I want to enjoy myself, but somebody looking at my head right now, like, why that boy come out the house like that? And it was interesting. I couldn't change it, but it influenced for the next 3 days conversations and almost got into a car crash because I'm looking at my points in the rearview mirror when I should be looking at the road. And over and over again, I found myself in a situation where my mind was thinking about my blemish and not what was in front of me. I had blessings all around me, but I couldn't appreciate them because I was so focused on my blemish. Okay, let me help 3 people over here because y'all look like y'all ain't come to have church today. See, every now and then your past can be a problem when you start to focus so much on things you can't change, but now you can't appreciate what's around you because all you're thinking about is what's behind you. I'm in a room full of people having a great time, but I'm thinking about my past. I'm thinking about what happened hours ago. Saturday comes and I'm still thinking about what happened on Thursday. Sunday comes and I think some of us, it's just more than a 3-day span. We're still thinking about stuff from 3 years ago. We're still thinking about stuff from 5 years ago. We're still thinking about stuff from 10 years ago. Yeah, they walked out. Yeah, it didn't work out. Yeah, it didn't come like you thought. It's a blemish. It's a stain on your history. It's a stain on your past. And the enemy now starts to recognize that I have access to their potential because now they do every relationship. They manifest everything that they do through the lens of their past. They keep thinking about it. They can't let it go. They can't move beyond it. And there's this passage in the Bible that I think helps us understand how to really understand what God wants to do with our past. Jeremiah 18 says this. Turn to that. It says, this is the word that came from Jeremiah, from the Lord. Go down to the potter's house, and there I will give you my message. So I went down to the potter's house. And I saw him working at the wheel. But the pot he was shaping from the clay was marred in his hands. Marred literally means to be blemished or flawed. It means to compromise the integrity of. Can I maybe suggest to you that the attack on your life in the last season was to damage the integrity, because the enemy understood what you're about to do in the next season. That's why the enemy attacks so many of us in seasons, because he understands if I can attack your character, it doesn't matter how talented you are. It doesn't matter how potential you are. I got your integrity. So now I have your possibility. Y'all ain't going to say amen today. But I know I've been in a place before where I said, God, can you do anything? The fear that my past had somehow flawed me from my potential. He said it was marred in his hands, the clay. So the potter formed it into another pot, shaping it as it seemed best to him. Then the word of the Lord, I love this part. God says, let me show you what I'm trying to show you. He says, came to me, he said, ye cannot not do this with Israel, as this potter does, declare the Lord. Like the clay in the hand of the potter, so are you in my hand, Israel. Can we go to the potter's house today for just a little bit? Let's take a trip, if you will, to the potter's house. It's interesting, if I may make a note while we take this journey to the potter's house, that Sierra, I love the fact that he tells him to go to the potter's house to get his message. Okay. Kendra, he could have told him the message when he started the conversation with him. But God has a conversation with him in one place, Jeff, but then provides revelation in another place. Okay, I know. This don't even really got a lot to do with past. I just couldn't resist saying it. Like homiletically, I shouldn't put this in the sermon, but I just got to do it. It's crazy because many of us, I believe, will miss the voice of God because we're waiting here because this is where the conversation started. But God is telling us the revelation isn't going to manifest till you get over there. But we keep waiting right here because we say, I don't need no new friends in 2017. God said, but the revelation is in the new friendship, but I don't need nobody. I'm still here. The revelation isn't in it. And that's why some of us need to stop complaining and stop being so frustrated with God because of the job he has you at, because of the season he has you in, because of the circle he has you in. Because sometimes he said, I didn't send you there to be permanent, but I sent you there because the revelation is awaiting you. But you keep wanting to get the revelation in the place of the conversation. He could have told him what he wanted to tell him anywhere. But he tells him to go to the potter's house to get the revelation. He tells him, Rivers, I got something I want to show you. I got something I want to say to you. I got something I want to do for you. I'm not going to give it to you where you want it. I'm going to give it to you where I tell you to go. Could it be that some of us in this next season, as we prepare for the new year, we need to get that second wind? God said, I'm waiting for you to have the courage to go where I've told you to go. Take a step to go to the house I've told you to go to get into the potter's house. And so today we look at this passage and we see the potter at work. I want a friend with me, if that's all right with y'all today. She's going to help us understand this fresh way. I was talking to Angie a little bit about the skill of pottery, and she began to describe to me that the most central piece of doing pottery is that the piece of work be centered. She said if the work is not centered, then it could fall off base and then it destroys the product because it's not centered. Somebody say centered. She said there is no greater aspect of pottery than being centered. And so the potter gets the station ready, and the text tells us that we're the clay and God is the potter. And so he begins to prepare us, and he begins to put us in the right positions, and he begins to put us around the right people, and he begins to put his hands on us, and he begins to do everything that is necessary. Sometimes it takes a little water, and sometimes it takes a little frustration. And have you ever felt like your life is spinning out of control? Have you ever felt like things are just out of whack, and you just don't know what's going on? But it's not really maybe that it's broken. It's just sometimes he's molding something. But you can't be molded without a little spinning. But all along, she's centering. I love what just happened. If you catch it, it had to rise, but it had to fall a little bit. It had to go up and then come down. See, some of you thought the journey was just going to keep you up here, but when you really understand how the potter works, every now and then you'll be on a ride, you'll be going, and sometimes he said, let me break it down a bit. I need you to see something. I need you to get some more formation. I need to mold you in a different way. But if you just trust the hands of the potter. Some of you keep saying, why did this happen in my past? Why did it happen like that? Why did I get knocked down when I thought I was doing so well? Why did they walk out when I thought we were so good? Why did they break trust? Why? Because the potter was doing something. The text tells us that the potter had the clay in his hands, and God shows him this revelation at the potter's house that while he's working on the clay, while he's working on it, that it became marred, flawed, blemished. And I know you're a professional, but can you just mar it a little bit? Oh Lord, don't do it. But the beautiful part about the potter's hands is he knows how to reform it and reshape it. And can I just get a volunteer real quick from the audience? Can I get a volunteer? I need one. Come on up here, you sir. You look like you ready. Where's that shirt at? Doesn't he have a shirt? There's a shirt up here for you. I don't want to mess up your good collar shirt. You look like you came ready. This is Under Armour too. You came ready for war. This is nice. Well, I want to put that shirt on. I want to show you how our life works many times. The shirt right there on the floor. The shirt right on the floor. And why they get ready, I need you to understand something, that all of our lives work like the clay. That there are places and spaces that become broken and insufficient. Every single one of us has a piece of our lives that has been blemished in some way, form, or fashion. And this is what the enemy wants you to do. He wants you to become so focused, catch this, on fixing problems that you can't finish the product. So what happens is we sit down and we look at our own lives and we say, I can fix it. I got this under control. And so we sit down and we look at our lives and we say, if I just budget a little more, and if I just talk a little more, and if I just change this, and if I read this book, and if I go to this seminar, and if I just fall out 3 times at this revival, because even church can be sometimes a problem, and you really didn't fix because you came and you started worshiping the pastor, but you didn't worship the God that could change the situation. I don't want you to come here for me. I want you to come here so the potter can get his hands on you. Because when you're trying to do it in your own hands, he's struggling a little bit. Wait, you got to get it centered. You got to get it centered. Come on here. Come on, she said she's going to help you restart it. And every now and then God steps in and he tries to help you out. And he tries to do a little something for you. But you keep trying to put your hands on it. And put your foot on the wheel and let it spin a little bit. But it's just not working out. It's marred. It's the same wheel. It's the same clay. But it's not achieving its potential. Oh, wait. Can you just step up for a second? It's okay. It's okay. Because when you let the potter sit down and watch it, and can you just help me real quick? Because something about the potter, when they start putting their hands on the pieces of your life that were broken, and when they start putting their hands on the pieces of your life, it's the same pieces, but God starts doing something with it. And you start getting excited because he starts taking the same life and he said what was broken becomes beautiful. What was blemished becomes blessed. I wish I had 50 people who gave God a shout of praise. No, that might have been cute, but has anybody ever had God put his hands on your life and reform some stuff that was broken? I dare somebody to give God a shout of praise. Same clay. But it went from struggling. See, here's what happens in your life. You're struggling just to keep it all together. You're struggling just to keep it all together. But you can only form, watch it, when your past leads your potential, you can only only form your life through the perspective of your problems. Let's see real quick. I want you to see this. I want you to see this because I want you to take something home with you today. Thank you so much, man. You good. You can't do nothing. Somebody give that man something for his hands. I at least was considerate enough to think about a shirt for him. That shirt costs $15 too in the back, so I want you to make sure you Hey, they will take care of you, man. Go over there, man. They will take care of you, man. Go over there, man. Look at him. All right. Remember what happened? Same clay, but she's doing something with it because she understood the vision for it. Okay, let me help 20 people today. Watch this. You gotta catch this in your spirit. Whenever our problems are the prevalent thing in our mind, we can only craft our lives to meet the demand of the problem. That's why many of us who are married, we keep going back to the same conversations because we can only converse through the lens of the problem. It doesn't matter how many months or years it's been, the conversation always comes back to the problem. It doesn't matter if you've been hurt by a friendship, any friendship you get into, because you are crafting your life through the lens of the problem. You always mold to meet the demand of the problem. You're always patching a problem. You're always fixing and never finishing. But when the potter gets his hands on you, he doesn't just fix what was broken. He starts to finish what was connected to your potential in the first place. And here's where the second wind comes in at, because many of us become satisfied with just surviving a marred season. But we don't come excited about finishing the product. It's the second win. The first win is good. I mean, we made it through. God came back. He rescued us. He put his hands on us. But if we just stop shouting where we just were, the fact that he came in and fixed the broken stuff, then we never become the finished stuff. We never become. We just celebrate and shout over what could have been, but we just are grateful for what he fixed. God said, I want to do more with your life today. I want to finish you. Look at your neighbor. Can you just say he wants to finish you? He wants to finish you. He understands your potential. And he doesn't want you to live based on just the limitations of your past. Because here it is, y'all. It's not enough to be a testimony.
All right.
I'm going to lose about 20 church folk when I say this. Churchy folk love a testimony. I want to give an honor to God who's head of my life. All the diaconate ministry, first bishop, second bishop, and prelate bishop, and interim bishop. The Lord has really been blessing. And so we celebrate testimonies. That's one win. But the second win is this. Watch this. I don't just want you to be a testimony. I want you to also become a testament. I looked up the definition of testament, and it said the proof or evidence of something. See, in one place of your life, when you just have a testimony, it's wonderful, but it only speaks to the fact that God fixed the broken part. But when you become a testament, it becomes evidence to the full potential of what God was trying to do. It becomes ingrained. It becomes something that lasts. It's legacy. It does something more than the moment. Testimonies give you inspiration for a moment until you got another testimony to give about another broken piece. But a testament is something that lasts. A testament is something that shows that God was with me all along. I want to become a testament. Not just a testimony. That's why I want to show you one more passage today. Because as the potter works, I love Jeremiah just because it gives us the perspective of God, the potter. But there's a passage in Isaiah 29 that gives us the outcome of the clay. The two texts are married and they're both necessary to understand what God is trying to show us, because one gives us reassurance that the potter will always come back and put his hands on us. And so for somebody who came today saying these pieces pieces of my life were too broken for God to do anything with. For somebody who said that I made too many mistakes. For somebody who said that Jesus' blood and his sacrifice couldn't save me. I just want to take a few moments and let you know that he died and he rose, that he went to the grave, but early one Sunday morning he rose again, and his hands became a part of your life, and he did it simply so you could know that there's not a piece that's been broken that he won't put his hands on. I don't care where you've been, I don't care what you've done, but it's important that we don't just get excited about the potter's work, but the outcome of the clay is equally as exciting. Isaiah tells it to us like this, verse 16, chapter 29. You turn things upside down as if the potter were thought to be like the clay. Shall what is formed say to the one who formed it, you did not make me? Can the pot say to the potter, you know nothing? Look at this analogy he gives next. It's very central. In a very short time, will not Lebanon be turned into a fertile field? And the fertile field seemed like a forest. Now, it seems like, first of all, a random series of conversations. Like, how do we get from an analogy about the potter to a conversation about cedars in Lebanon? First of all, can all of us be honest? I don't even know what cedars in Lebanon are. Come on, some of y'all be reading about them, we know what they talk about. And they went down to Kadesh, and the Kadeshalites came through, and you be like, yes, Jesus. Don't know that. I ain't never met nobody from Kadesh. Don't even know what Kadesh is. You don't know if it's a person, a place, or a thing. You don't know. So we get excited. Can I just teach this part real quick? Then I want to talk about the cedars of Lebanon because it's so beautiful. Lebanon was the place where the most wonderful wood or the most celebrated wood came from in this day and time. Lebanon was a place where Solomon literally went to get the wood to build the temple of the Lord. Lebanon, the cedars of Lebanon will be the fragrance. If you read the Songs of Solomon, it'll bless your life. For those looking for a relationship, come on, you won't do it. Songs of Solomon will tell a story about the appreciation of beauty being like that of Lebanon. The cedars of Lebanon, its fragrance. It had fragrance, it was beauty. It was connected to majesty. Royalty went to Lebanon to get its trees and its resources because it was celebrated as the most valuable resources of the time. It was a ground that was fertile. It was a ground that could produce at a high level. Cedars of Lebanon. He says, in a very short time, the clay will be like Lebanon. It will be a fertile field. And like a forest, it will become. It will produce. It will be fruitful. But he doesn't just say it will be like a forest. It will be fertile. He could have stopped there. He says it will be like Lebanon because he was trying to articulate that what God is an expert in is taking broken things and making them beautiful things. He's an expert at taking blemished things and making them blessed. He's an expert at taking things that were marred and making them majestic. He's an expert at taking things that were at critical mass and saying, but watch when I carve it and craft it, it's going to become something that they didn't even see. He's trying to help them to understand that the outcome of the clay, when it's in God's hands, is always more beautiful than it ever anticipated. And I just came by this church today to let about 30 people know that you were worried about your past because you thought it was going to disqualify you. You were worried about your past because you thought it would discredit you. You were worried about your past because you thought God couldn't do anything with it. But what I get excited about today is that God says you're about to become like the cedars of Lebanon. He said, I'm about to take every broken thing in your life and I'm about to use it for your miracle. But the problem is many of us live our lives in our own hands.
Yeah, that's right.
We say, I got it. We tell God, I know what I'm looking for in a person.
All right.
God, I got my list. I know what kind of man I want. I know what kind of woman I want. So it's in your hands. We say to God, no, I went to school, I got this degree. Look, stop playing. This is what I'm called to do. If it costs me $100,000, this is what I'm called to do. Because most of y'all knew it wasn't what you was called to do by sophomore year, but you'd already spent so much money that you was like, I ain't about to call my mama back. And be like, That's just what I'm called to be. It already cost me 20 G's. We spend our lives crafting. And God is calling, but we're busy crafting. God is calling, but we're busy saying, I got it. And all along, the thing that is being damaged the most is the potential of what we could become. The product of what he was trying to create in you. But you find yourself in a situation where you get to a place where you say, if I just took my hands off and let the potter begin to craft the clay. This last part I want you to see. I love this part. Because it probably with me, Angie talk got me the most excited. She began to explain to me that the way the clay is then crafted into something unique. And when it gets through the base process, when it gets into the beauty making process, when it becomes a Lebanon, when it becomes a fertile place. She said, I got to use one hand burning to mold it, but another hand to put pressure against it. She said, with no pressure, it'll spin out of control. But with no molding, it won't ever become something unique. Let me help 20 people over here. You've been feeling like your life is about to lose control. God said, don't worry about the pressure, because the pressure is not there to knock you off. It's there to help be a part of a process to produce beauty. And if you can ever learn to become content in the spin cycle, if you can ever become to learn content in the fact that life is spinning out of control, if you can ever become content, Aaron, come here real quick, I gotta go, we gotta move. But every now and then your life seems like it's spinning out of control, and you're just saying, what in the world is gonna happen? But all of a sudden, you can fall into the master's hands, and he said, I know it feels like you've lost your way, and I know it feels like you're losing control, but I'm just applying some pressure. But if you just keep spinning, he said, I'm still there, and I got you in my hands. I wish I had about 100 people who said I'm in his hands. I wish I had 20 people who said I'm spinning, but I'm in his hands. I can take the pressure. I can take the molding, because as long as I'm in his hands, as long as I'm in his hands, he won't let the pressure spoil me. He won't let the pressure break me. I dare somebody to shout unto God, because you say the pressure won't break me. Come on, 20 more seconds. If you know that the pressure's not going to take you out, if you know that the pressure's there to create something beautiful, say, I can take it, I can take it. Spin me, spin me, spin me, spin me, because I know he's producing something. He said, I'm producing something. You're spinning, but I'm producing something. You feel like you're losing control and your past seems like it's defining your potential. When he said, I'm producing something. I'm producing something. No, that might not excite everybody, but 40 of us who said, I didn't know what I was doing in 2016. I just came to let you know he's producing something. And when he's done, it's going to look like the cedars of Lebanon. It's not just going to be some good stuff. It's going to be some great stuff. It's going to be something that is valued at the highest level. I wish I had some people excited about the spin. So here it is. You stand on your feet all over the room today. Here it is.